I never learned about this in school, and it's time we change that. You know how history class always feels like it's missing something? Well, this story is straight up one of those missing pieces. We're about to dive into a part of World War II that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. The experiences of Black Jews under Nazi rule. It's heavy, it's real, and it's gonna make you think. So picture this. Nazi Germany, 1933. Hitler's in power, and things are getting real bad, real quick. But here's the twist. We're not just talking about the Jewish people you usually hear about. We're shining a light on a group that's been in the shadows way too long. Black Jews. You know how rare it is to find a four-leaf clover? Well, Black Jews in Europe back then were even rarer. Most Black people in Germany were like the kids of African soldiers and German women from the colonies. They called them the Rhineland bastards, which is just, so messed up. It's like, can you imagine being labeled like that just because of who your parents are? Okay, so being Jewish in Nazi Germany was already a death sentence, right? But being Black and Jewish, that was like having a double target on your back. The Nazis were all about this crazy Aryan purity nonsense, and Black people didn't fit into that at all. So these Black Jews, they're dealing with hate from all sides. They're getting persecuted for being Jewish, facing the whole Holocaust nightmare. But on top of that, they're seen as racially inferior just for being Black. It's like, pick a struggle, right? Except they didn't get to pick. They got hit with both. And that's the thing about discrimination. It doesn't just stick to one lane. It's like this ugly web that catches people from all angles. Now, let's talk about one of the most messed up things the Nazis did. And trust me, that's saying something. Remember those Rhineland bastards I mentioned? Well, about 400 of these kids, we're talking actual children here, were forcibly sterilized, like without their consent. Can you even imagine? This wasn't just some random act of cruelty. It was part of the Nazis' whole eugenics program. They saw these mixed-race kids as a threat to their idea of racial purity. It's like, how twisted do you have to be to look at a child and see a threat? But that's what happened, and it's a part of history we can't ignore. It shows just how far people will go when they start seeing others as less than human. So, we've all heard about the concentration camps, right? But did you know there were Black people in there too, both Jewish and non-Jewish? And let me tell you, their stories are just as heartbreaking as any you've heard. Some of them were killed right away. Others were forced to work until they literally dropped dead. And then there were the ones used for medical experiments. It's the kind of thing that makes you sick to your stomach, you know? And the worst part? A lot of these stories almost got lost. Alright, let's zoom in on one person's story. Meet Hans Massaquoi. This guy was born in 1926 to a German mom and a Liberian dad. Imagine growing up as one of the only Black kids in Hamburg while Hitler's rising to power. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? Hans wrote this book called Destined to Witness, and it's wild. He talks about how he couldn't join the Hitler Youth, how people would stare at him on the street. It's like he's just trying to live his life, but the whole country is telling him he doesn't belong. But get this, he made it out, moved to the US and became a journalist. Talk about a plot twist. His story shows that even in the darkest times there's still hope, you know? Now let's talk about Bayoumi Mohammed Hussein. This guy's story is like a movie that starts off promising but has the worst ending ever. He was born in German East Africa, fought for Germany in World War I, and then became an actor in Berlin, like he was living the dream, you know? But then the Nazis came to power and everything went downhill. Despite everything he'd done for Germany, they arrested him in 1941, sent him straight to Sachsenhausen concentration camp, and that's where he died in 1944. It's like, no matter what you do, no matter how much you contribute, some people will only ever see the color of your skin. It's messed up, but it's real. Okay, brace yourselves for this one. Gert Schramm was just a kid, 15 years old, when the Nazis arrested him and sent him to Buchenwald. His crime? Being born to a German mom and an African-American dad. That's it. That's all it took to end up in one of the most notorious concentration camps. But here's the thing, Gert survived. He made it through that hell and lived to tell his story. And not just tell it, but use it to educate people. He became this advocate for Holocaust remembrance, speaking to schools and stuff. It's like he took this horrible experience and turned it into something positive, you know? That's some real strength right there. Now let's shine a light on two women whose stories almost got lost to history. Martha Ndumbe and Erica Ngando, both of African descent, both sent to Ravensbrück concentration camp. Martha didn't make it out. She died there. And Erica, we don't even know what happened to her. It's like they just disappeared. Their stories show us how easy it is for people to be forgotten, especially when they're part of a minority within a minority. So, why am I telling you all this? Because these stories matter. They show us that Nazi persecution wasn't just about one group. It was about anyone they saw as different or inferior. And if we forget that, we're doomed to repeat those same mistakes. These stories of black Jews and black people in Nazi Germany, they're not just history lessons. They're warnings, you know? They show us how dangerous it is when we start seeing people as other. Look, I know this stuff is heavy, but we can't look away just because it's uncomfortable. These stories of black Jews, of black people in Nazi Germany, they're part of our history too. And by remembering them, by telling their stories, we're doing our part to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. So let's keep talking, keep learning, and keep remembering. Because history isn't just about the past, it's about shaping our future.